For almost 4 decades, one man's word was law for over 80 million people. His power felt absolute. His reign, well, it seemed like it would never end. But then, on one single morning, all of that changed, kicking off a massive shift in global power that we are going to break down right now. And here it is. This is the moment that sent shockwaves across the entire globe. After 37 years as the ultimate authority in the Islamic Republic, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was just gone. An era didn't just come to an end, it was violently slammed shut. In those first critical hours, the world was just gripped by this information war. On one side, you had Iranian officials insisting everything was fine, telling everyone Khamenei was safe and sound. But on the other side, reports from all over the world, and eventually Iran's own state media, were telling a very different story. The denial just couldn't hold, and it finally gave way to a stunning reality. The supreme leader was dead. So how in the world did this happen, right? How did one of the most protected leaders on the planet meet such a sudden end? Well, the details that have emerged paint a picture of a meticulously planned and, frankly, a devastatingly effective operation. From what we can piece together from multiple sources, this was no random act. It was a joint U.S.-Israeli operation, a wildly bold daytime airstrike on Khamenei's compound, right in the middle of Tehran, and it was apparently made possible by CIA intelligence. And here's the crucial part. The strike hit during a meeting of senior officials. That was a rare window of opportunity that they only found after months of tracking his patterns. So a 37-year rule ends in an instant. But who was Ali Khamenei? To really understand the power vacuum he left behind, we have to understand the man who held that power for so long. Born way back in 1939, Khamenei's life story is basically the story of the Islamic Republic itself. He jumped in with Ayatollah Khomeini's revolutionary movement in the 60s, became a huge figure in the 1979 revolution, served as president during the brutal Iran-Iraq War, and then finally in 1989 he got the top job, supreme leader, a position he held right up until his death. Now this is really fascinating because it breaks down how he actually ruled. He was methodical. He consolidated power, making sure every single branch of government, and this is key, the incredibly powerful Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps answered directly to him. He used the state's revolutionary ideology to justify his absolute authority. And, as a lot of research shows, his whole worldview was defined by this deep-seated belief that the world was just fundamentally hostile, especially towards Iran. So, with Khamenei gone, the most important question for Iran, and really for the rest of the world, is, okay, what happens now? A complex, super secretive, and incredibly high-stakes process to choose his successor was immediately set in motion. And right at the heart of that whole process is this group, the Assembly of Experts. Think of them as an 88-member council of Islamic clerics. Their single most important job, written right into the Constitution, is to pick the next supreme leader. Now, in theory, they're also supposed to oversee the leader, but in practice, their real power is most visible in moments of succession, just like this one. So, how is this whole thing supposed to work? Well, on paper, it follows 4 key steps. First, the leader's death triggers the creation of an interim leadership council to handle the day-to-day stuff. Then, the Assembly of Experts gets together to deliberate, and, finally, they elect a new permanent leader. It's a process designed for continuity, but boy, is it shrouded in secrecy. And this shows you exactly who's holding the keys to the kingdom in the immediate aftermath. The interim council isn't just one person, it's a team of 3. The current president, the head of the judiciary, and one cleric from another powerful group, the Guardian Council. Together, these 3 are the temporary custodians of the supreme leader's immense power. The second the news broke, you can bet the speculation went into overdrive. The unofficial race to become Iran's 3rd supreme leader, a contest that had really been simmering under the surface for years, was suddenly out in the open for everyone to see. Okay, so let's look at the frontrunners. A few key names immediately popped up, and each one represents a totally different power base. You've got Mujtaba Khamenei, the late leader's son, which feels a lot like a dynasty in the making. Then there's Hassan Khamenei, who has the revolutionary street cred of his famous grandfather. And, of course, you have the ultimate insiders, the Larajini brothers, Ali and Sadek, who've controlled huge parts of the political machine for years. Each one of them points to a vastly different future for Iran. Look, The death of someone who ruled for 37 years is a seismic event, and the aftershocks immediately revealed a nation that is deeply, profoundly divided. The reaction on the streets of Iran wasn't a single story. It was a mirror of the country's fractures. As soon as the official confirmation came down, something remarkable happened. Reports and videos just flooded the internet showing these widespread celebrations. In cities all across the country, from Tehran to Isfahan, you saw people taking to the streets, totally overjoyed, viewing the end of his rule as a moment of liberation. But at the very same time this was happening, supporters gathered to mourn, and you saw these incredibly powerful scenes of public grief. Videos showed people just wailing, collapsing in sorrow. These two realities, side by side, they just perfectly capture the deep polarization in Iran. One man's death sparking both celebration and profound grief. And the reaction wasn't just inside Iran. The world responded immediately. And while the reactions fell along pretty predictable geopolitical lines, the US administration called it justice. Its rival, Russia, called it a cynical murder. China strongly condemned the attack. And the European Union, trying to stay neutral, just called it a defining moment. Instantly, the event became yet another flashpoint in an already divided world. And so, that brings us to the ultimate question, doesn't it? An authoritarian era has ended, not quietly, but with a massive bang. The structures of power are shaking, the people are divided, and the entire world is holding its breath. What comes next? That's not just a question for Iran. It's a question for all of us.